ladies and gentlemen, to the Under Review Podcast, episode 56. As always, I am your host, Todd. Alongside me is my co-host, Marty.
What's up, brother? Wait, that's 2 weeks in a row. I got to find a new.
Yeah. All right, so first of all, I want to say outstanding on the voting this week.
Yeah, whatever we've done for at least, I know for sure the Auburn week and the Arkansas week is, as for you and I as a crew, we've got to get better doing that because it was, over 2,000 votes or so?
Yeah, that was the first time in this side grid.
Right.
Auburn bumped up 9,000 in just the voting itself of the logo. But this time, I'm not going to say who, but a particular team
blew them out the water.
5,000.
I think it was pretty close to 1,500?
Yeah, it was outstanding, and I want to appreciate, thank all y'all for that. Even if it is in some of the groups that we share and they don't even listen, they just vote. I don't care. You vote, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, like I said, I know I kept getting people showed on my Facebook because I get updates. And I see, who is this? And I'd go to click it and it's somebody, oh, what's your channel? Da-da-da-da-da. And I see you was getting back to them. So really good, the outreach that we're trying to do to get more people here on the cast.
Yeah, but before we get into everything, I do want to shout out to God for everything that He does.
Amen.
Got us here to another week. Rough day, but got here. That's all that matters. The shout out to the wives, cooking up dinner, whatever they're doing on this fine day that we're able to talk to y'all and whatnot.
Complaining about work?
Probably.
No, probably.
And then I want to thank, it could be worse. I want to thank Tactical Home and Pest, 256-592-2842. Tactical Home and Pest for all your pest control needs. Precise Roofing and Restorations, 256-892-2757. Call Jeremy Burnham and get out there and check on your roof. Especially with all the weather that we've been having this week, it's going to get worse from here. So
I'm so sick and tired of rain, wind, everything else.
Yeah. Also want to shout out Hunter Bricefield and Nicholas Adams at the Dadpod, HCS Media with our good friend Hayden Coker, and all of the creative team as in Cody Mealer, Brandon Trammell, and Jud Dickinson.
Hooligans. All 6, 7, 12 of them.
It don't matter. They're still family, friends, whatever.
I guess they fit in with the rest of us, so.
Yeah, well, there ain't much to talk about. But
well, you say that, but then.
Yeah, so let's talk about what we got going on. We are in the what?
Well, before you jump into that, I've just run across a few things that's kind of been on my mind lately. With it being June, June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and I think this is really, really something to get behind. There is a lot of people, a lot of men that go undiagnosed with mental health issues due to whatever it so be. Guys, it's okay to talk about it. It's, as everybody say, it's 2025. No, don't let yourself get there. It does happen sometimes, but there's always outreaches. There's phone numbers. There's places you can help. And for the other side of that as well, be that friend to make that phone call. If you've been thinking about somebody or something just for no reason, hey, leave them a voicemail, send them a text. I done the same exact thing earlier today with a friend from high school. I've seen he's had a little bit of trouble going on. I shot him a text, be like, it's okay, da-da-da-da-da-da. You never know what one phone call or one text can mean to somebody.
That's exactly right. You don't know that your phone call or text could have saved the person from where they was at. And then, just knowing that they had a friend that actually still cared, even though if you haven't reached out in 5-10 years, Yeah.
Well, this is your call or sign to do that. If you always say, well, I'm waiting on a sign, waiting on this, that, and other, this is it, and then after that, don't wait because, like you said, it could be they could be on their last straw. This could be something that holds that together and gets them through another day to where hopefully they'll be able to reach out for more help.
What you got? You got anything else?
Not as far as that.
All right, so after all the sappy stuff is done,
Right,
we're
sappy
gonna
stuff. Time for some foosball.
Well, first we're gonna take a word from our sponsor.
Oh, that works too.
Yeah.
This episode of the Under Review podcast is brought to you by Chuck's Heating and Air. Chuck has over 40 years of service and experience with residential services. He services most makes and models. He is Alabama licensed, bonded, and insured, and locally owned and operated. Are you hot and you're supposed to be cool? Are you cool and you're supposed to be hot? Then you've got a problem. Call Chuck. Area code 256-892-2757. Again, 256-892-2757. Chuck's Heating and Air.
It is Chuck's Heating and Air, 256-892-2757. I just now realized I messed up Jeremy's number. His number is 205-505-0833. I gave him Dad's number.
That's still...
You don't want to be calling Chuck for metal roofing and whatnot.
I mean, he could probably do it. He helped put this one on their house, so...
Yeah, true. That is true. But as we get started, this is episode 56, like we had said, what we're going to talk about, we're in the home stretch for our season to begin. We are a little over 9 weeks away from kickoff, 70-something days, I want to say. Didn't get the precise number. I meant to look at it. But a little over 9 weeks for SEC. So, what we didn't get to do last year and what we're going to do this year.
We did a little bit.
We did too.
I think we bit off more we could chew last year jumping into it.
Yeah.
But now I say we're not veterans, but we're a little more seasoned at getting ready for the season.
Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
So what we're going to do is we're going to do our team preview. We're going to talk about Alabama and Alabama and Arkansas this week. A, B, C. I learned my alphabet today, so.
Right. And with this episode, too, it's so fortunate that Arkansas is one of the first teams because I think we picked up a lot of Woo Pigs last week, and hopefully they can tune in and help spread the word. That was the elephant, not the Woo Pig. Woo! Suey, however it goes.
I don't have I've been trying to. There's a lot of stuff that I have to do for this upcoming season, but that was the button I accidentally hit. But
right,
it's
well,
going to lead us right into something else.
I'm like you was talking about. Super excited for all the Arkansas fans that have jumped in. That's for any fans. We're just not extremely an Auburn fan. This is all 16 teams to come in and join. So, I mean, could be worse. Also, I know we get off on squirrel tangents, but I was reading on Ticking Talk today or something that Coach Deion Prime Sanders said Diego Pavia would never be a starting quarterback in college football.
I've heard that.
When he was at, I guess, Jackson State?
Yeah.
Or something like that. And I was like, well, look at me now. Anyway, before we get off, before we get off on a super, super tangent, because it's been known to happen, we're going to jump off with the Alabama Crimson Tide under the tutelage in his second season. Coach Kalen DeBoer posted a 9-4 record and a 5-3 in the SEC, and also lost to Michigan in their bowl game, which ended their season, which also technically ended their last season. So you got beat by a Michigan team twice in 1 year.
Yeah, I see where you're going with that.
Yeah, I tried to make a big circle, but, squirrel.
You started off the season with Michigan, you ended the season with Michigan.
Right.
Both losses. That's where you was going with it. I'll let you continue.
And behind him, the offensive coordinator is Ryan Grubbs with, is that Nick Sheridan?
Nick Sheridan,
Nick. I'm like you last week.
I was bad last week.
Yeah. Co-offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach Jamarcus Shepard, and the assistant coach, co-offensive coordinator. Yeah, right. I'm getting there. And wide receivers, Kane Woolmack is the defensive coordinator, which I like Kane Womack. I think he is a really good defensive coach. What's his third year for him as well? Oh,
Second.
yeah, because he come with DeBoer.
He came from. Oh, Brandon's going to kill me. I want to say he came from South Alabama or something like that, Troy.
Yeah, because when Brandon listens to this, he's going to be like,
yeah, I know. I'm drawing a blank.
So before we actually get into players, and I guess we can get into a little bit before we actually get to the end of this session, with the 9-4, 5-3 in the SEC, what kind of temperature do you feel Kalen DeBoer's at coming into his third season, and what he's looking at, what he needs to be at to not be in trouble in Tuscaloosa?
Well, it's coming into his second season, so.
Well, that's what I meant. I can't read good.
Well, we all know Alabama ain't gonna win the Civil War or World War III.
I don't know. They might as much as
they beg and plead. I don't think so. But
dude, I know our bread guy. He every day Alabama, he comes delivers the bread for us and stuff. And oh man, Steve the bread man, he gives me lip every day. He said, "Yeah, I looked up Auburn on the internet the other day and I couldn't even find it." He said there was a cow pond and something about some fishes or something. He said, "Wasn't no college football down there." Every day it's something. So they could win the next World War. So
yeah, but I don't think his iron is hot. Granted, another 9-4 season, an 8-5 season might hurt that. Which, like I said, we'll get to that later on.
Right.
But you got to take it with. He's not an SEC coach, in my opinion.
Not yet, anyway.
What I mean by that is you're still riding the coattails from Nick Saban, even though it's the transfer portal. Everybody looks like they have a chance to play at Alabama because Saban's gone and the transfer portal's open. They're still trying to build that legacy or continue that legacy and dynasty that they've had. But I want to say that with Kalen DeBoer, that 8-5, 9-4, where you might stay.
And like I said, just as much as we've talked, and I think Alabama this is the biggest besides DeBoer's first year, which he lost a lot after Saban left. He got in. He had a fairly decent recruiting class that hung out with him, but I just. This is going to be, I think, this season here, yeah, like I said, going into number 2, and just how the temperature is in Tuscaloosa as far as their fan base and stuff like that. I think this could be a make or break season for his trajectory and long term at Alabama.
Yeah. Now, see, depends on how this season goes. We'll strike this again at the end of the season, but I don't say the kettle's hot. I don't even think the oven's on right now, even though they don't have anything to do with the flat top. But the lights ain't even working. Well,
that's how we kind of scaled it last year, was the burner being on. But stovetop, griddle pot, whichever one.
Like I said, I don't even think the light's on in the oven. I don't even think it's working right now for that one.
And like I said, and
it shouldn't be. Mm-hmm. Give this man some same thing. Now when we talk about Auburn, it's a different story. He's been there. Hugh Freeze's been there a couple years.
Even the next coach that we're going to get to with Sam Pittman, I mean, just how from where his season was going last year, where it ended, I think there's a lot to divulge in that.
Right. So I don't think it's hot right now. I don't even think the oven's on.
Mm-hmm. But like you said, with any of the teams, with any college football, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of consistency as far as, like you say, with the transfer portal and all that. So I think your tenure coaches are going to be a little less likely. They'll never be like another
1 in a million,
right? Kind of thing, like a Nick Saban or a Spurrier or something like that. So
I mean Kirby, but I mean,
I think Kirby there too he's kind of the tail end of that dying breed that's gonna whether he goes ups or down. Yeah, I don't think he'll take another job if something happens at Georgia.
he graduated from Georgia.
Exactly.
He's not going nowhere. Let's be real.
Yeah, he's getting fed at his
met
own
his
table.
wife there. I mean,
yeah. So, and just if they just get tanked and they have like a 1 in 200 record or something in the next couple of years, I think he's going to be there. But with DeVore, I like it here. And a lot of times, especially in the SEC, we've definitely seen it being Auburn fans. Now, again, the big one I like to bring up is Potato Head, but there was different things with his recruiting and all that. But they turn the oven on so fast and don't let time to let them start working out as far wise as their plan, how they're and I want to say again with Auburn, like Gus did when he first got there. He vested in his players, and he really done. He had the family atmosphere. And I'm not saying that's everywhere, but when the temperature turns up, what are you going to react to? So
let's hit that next one. See what else we're talking about here.
I think you can run this one.
All right, so the key departures this year for the Alabama Crimson Tide will be quarterback Jalen Milroe. Yes, it's controversial, but he was your game manager at this point. He had 2,844 passing yards, 16 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 726 on the ground on 168 carries with 20 touchdowns. And then you get back on that defense where you're missing two key pieces at the linebacker position with Jaheed Campbell, who got drafted. 119 tackles, 55 solos, 5 sacks, 2 pass breakups, 1 interception, 2 forced fumbles, and 1 fumble recovery. And then you miss that veteran leadership from Malachi Moore, who had 70 tackles as well, 40 solos, 1 sack, 8 pass breakups, 2 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, and 1 fumble recovery, and 1 bad attitude.
I was about to say, if you don't poke that in there somewhere.
Well, I was.
Right. But even with Malachi, we talked about this 2 or 3 times last season. And it could get misconstrued as it drove me nuts because as a old style football fan, I think there was no place for it. But then I seen other interviews and stuff like that, how it means so much to him and this, that, and other. He just plays hard, wants to win. But being a monkey's tail didn't really, it is what it is. But these are going to be big hurts for Alabama, especially that we're so questionable at the quarterback position with Ty Simpson being your QB1 week in, week out.
Who only threw 25 passes all of last season. So
yeah, and again, most of them was at the Mercer game I was at. There's so much uncertainty there, but I think with Ty, it could be he looked really good. So hopefully he's vested himself and worked in that. I mean, like I said, wow, them are really big losses there. And they did lose more through transfer portal and all this. But like you said, when we have to narrow it down, these are probably the names you heard the most for Alabama, and they will be missed.
And if not, please tell us somebody that will be missed. And, because, everybody has their opinions. They might like somebody else that we didn't say. And, but I mean, I feel like these 3 were the biggest pieces last year that made or break Alabama in each game.
Oh, most definitely. Each one of these guys had a leading role in each game, whether it was Milroe throwing 20 interceptions or Malachi crying. Sorry, that's the Auburn coming out in me.
Or Jaheed Campbell, getting hurt and missing some time. It was
right.
That was 3 big key pieces. So now we're getting to their big additions from this past year, and we're going to start it off in the quarterback position with Keelan Russell, who's the number 2 player nationally in the 2025 class. Hopefully, as a football fan, of course, hopefully he gets some playing time. But I definitely think
is he 2 or 3? On the depth chart, do we know or
we don't? We just know the starting quarterback. That's it.
Okay,
it's time. But I want to see Keelan. As a football fan, his number might get called week 1 against Florida State. Who knows? Just hope that he's ready, and having a high number is a good thing, but can it translate to college?
Right. The one thing with that being that high number means the higher you are, the harder you fall. And the more,
Byron
I
Coward.
guess, exactly. That was we talked about him the other day. I think being a couple guys at work was talking about that with Coward. But no, I mean, just like once it translates to the NFL, like we saw with Shador, supposed to be one of the number one picks, and he fell to fourth, fifth round,
Yeah.
and going to the Cleveland Browns, which that might be good for them. But
They wanted him all along, so I mean, it kind of worked out in their favor. They got him in the fourth or fifth round, much cheaper contract, and it maybe humbled him a little bit. Who knows? We'll see when
probably
NFL
not,
starts.
But
Probably not.
This
I mean,
is
Deion's son, but
this is not an NFL podcast. That's a whole nother rant and a half.
Yeah,
but no, I mean, these are big pieces. We don't know much about besides the number 2 player. Again, there's so many places, but these two guys coming in from the wide receiver position, linebacker position, are, I think, instant impact, because you're seeing similar numbers to what Green had. Malachi, the numbers of tackles and sacks, and being a presence. Yeah, being a presence for that defensive line. And we go back to their coordinators. These guys are professionals. They know what they're doing. So the coaching staff will all, get these guys tuned in and ready for week 1.
Was I not going to finish?
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't take it back, so you just talk over it. Maybe I can.
It was wide receiver Isaiah Horton coming from Miami, and then who we've talked about before coming from Colorado is Nikhil Hill-Green, or however you say his name. Then we're going to look at players to watch here. This is the biggest 3 players that I think I just picked. I mean, but still 3 big players. By the way, all this information came in a struggle. I lost all this information for about 3 weeks and was in a complete tizzy. So I'm just lucky to find it. But
right. Well, players, if they knew how much you put into it, they would be in a tizzy too.
Yeah, players to watch. I feel like for the Alabama Crimson Tide will be starting quarterback redshirt junior Ty Simpson. It's his time to shine. He don't want Keelan Russell's number called. He wants to go out there against Florida State and show Alabama and the nation pretty much what he has. I've heard rumors, Twitter, that he is on the black horse candidate for Heisman. But the last time I remember one of those quarterbacks coming from the state of Alabama, he got benched halfway through the season.
He did not so good.
He threw a backwards pass in a game.
Oh, we talked about. Hey, so just another side note. I sent you that TikTok about the Auburn quarterbacks.
I ain't watched it yet.
Right. But I remember we talked about it the other day, and I found it and I sent it to you. I was like, when I seen some of them names, I was just about ready to throw my phone backwards.
Mm-hmm. And then at the linebacker position, Deontay Lawson, where he's a redshirt senior. If Cody was here, he would be drooling over this guy. He absolutely loves talking about him.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of sad we don't have his insight on this one. But, he'll be with us during the season. And then defensive back who stepped up big last year is Keon Sabb. He's a redshirt junior. I want to say he's a transfer from Washington about 2 years ago, I want to say. He's a transfer.
Did he come with DeVore?
I don't know. I just know he's a transfer. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure Roadside Billy would tell me exactly where he came from.
Yeah.
But those are 3 big players. I feel like, especially Lawson, who has the high potential to go top 15 in this next upcoming year's draft.
Yeah.
Keon Sabb, if he decides to go, same boat. And, with Ty Simpson, we're ducks in the air because we don't know what's going on.
Right. I think the potential here with Lawson, he's going to be your captain. I don't know if they wear C's on their uniforms or what, but he's going to be that field general, a Luke Kuechly style type guy, as far as being the commander in chief when the defense is on the ball. And then, I'm so interested in the Ty Simpson deal to see, not to watch him fail, because any good football, you want to see him do well. And Sabb, I really like how this kid plays, and hopefully he can have more. Like I said, he stepped up so much last year. I mean, I would say there's always more room to improve that. But definitely a good player to watch here for this Crimson Tide team.
You say you don't want to see somebody fail, but I mean, I like seeing Diego Pavia fall sometimes.
Anybody from Colorado?
Yeah,
I just after all that, the last couple of years just put such a sour taste in my mouth for that program because of
I mean, they've never been a top program. I mean, at least they're winning games.
Oh, I've got so many squirrels. Did you see where the Jets signed a Mizzou guy today?
The thicker kicker.
The thicker kicker. He signed with the Jets today. I actually got to meet him last weekend. Got his John Hancocky.
Big old boy.
Yeah, he's a big one.
All right,
Anyways,
so,
squirrel.
Here's the 2025 Alabama schedule, kicking off on August 30th at Florida State. Then September 6th at home, first home game against ULM. That is a 6:45 kickoff. Then September 13th against Wisconsin, which is an 11 a.m. kickoff. Then they go bye on September 20th. And then September 27th, they step into a big road game. Their first two road games are pretty big in my standings.
In my opinion.
Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. They go to Georgia September 27th. That will be a night game, a 6:30 on ABC. Then October 4th, looking for revenge against Vanderbilt. October the 11th at Missouri again, 11 a.m. kickoff there. And then the third Saturday in October, a game at home against Tennessee. October 25th at South Carolina. November 1st, they're taking another bye week. November 8th, they're welcoming LSU Tigers inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. November 15th, they're welcoming Oklahoma. And then homecoming, I'm pretty sure, or at least senior night, November 22nd against Eastern Illinois, which in FCS, they're not a bad team, but I don't think there'll be any count against Alabama.
No.
And then November 29th is the Hail Marys of all Hail Marys at Auburn. It is the Iron Bowl.
Hopefully it's not the last one.
No. So, looking at it, rough,
oh, yeah, their road schedule in the SEC is fairly brutal.
Yeah, but, I've noticed this. Well, I ain't going to squirrel. But, five away games in pretty good areas, at Florida State, at Georgia, at Missouri. Okay, Missouri could be down this year, but it's a 11 a.m. game, so it could be totally different. And then at South Carolina, if that is a sandstorm game, I would not want to be there.
Nope.
And then any game at Jordan-Hare is going to be a game.
Yeah.
Especially with being the Iron Bowl.
All right, so let's just – I know we've already kind of ran through it, but what are you looking at August 30th at Florida State? Like you said, they're going to Doak Walker. What do you think the outcome is?
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think Florida State's going to turn their season around and beat Alabama week 1. And I say that with confidence because if there was a hill I was going to die on, it would be Florida State turning their season around.
We're starting the season on a good note.
Yeah, and then upsetting pretty much Alabama because Alabama's expected, come back, and then Florida State, after the 2-11 season they had last year, not being, real good, but had one of the better transfer portal classes, outside the SEC.
New coaches.
Gus Malzahn's in there. Everybody likes his offense that he's going to be running, and he knows how to beat Alabama itself. So there's also that. So I expect to upset week 1.
I do like that to a certain extent. With Alabama's questions at quarterback and a few other places. But like you said, this new look Florida State team, like I said, you can't start any worse than they started last year.
No.
So, if they do drop an egg right here, Florida State does week 1, it won't be surprising. But I don't think that's going to be the case. And I, like I said, of course, I know Brittany's going to say something, and of course, Maddie will too. But I also do like the upset, whether it's 3 points or 30. I just don't think Alabama's got tuned in yet enough to start off on the high note.
Right. So, with all that being said for Alabama, we're going to swap over to our other team.
What, was you going to give me a prediction for the season, or?
Oh, yeah. Where did you see him at 9-4 again, or 9-3, or?
All right, let's see. Let's go Florida State loss, win. Loss at Georgia.
You got them beaten by week?
We'll see how tie is. Win at Vandy, win at Mizzou. I think Tennessee is going to be on a slide this year to a certain extent. Was that where Aguilar's at?
Yeah, Aguilar.
Joey, I think they can beat Tennessee again. South Carolina, like you said, that just depends on the environment. They'll get a win there. LSU's at T-Town. I think LSU's going to be pretty good, barring injury. I like a win there for Alabama as well. Them two, yeah, I like 9-3. You know, just depending. I don't like giving too much on that last game because you know how that goes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Bias, you know.
Yeah, but no, seriously, I do like the 9-3, or would you say 8-5, or just, you know, they're going to win the games they're supposed to. Let's put it that way. They're going to win them games, but it's going to come down to, like, again, I know it's crazy saying the first week's going to be a pivotal game. First week, last week's always the Iron Bowl. You know, LSU's coming in, Tennessee's coming in, and you're at Georgia. So I do like where you're at. With this schedule, I don't know about playoffs. I mean, heck, we're going to be like a 164 team playoff before it's over with.
Yeah.
So if they get into the playoff, they'll limp in
as a 12 seed.
As a 12 seed, God forbid.
11 or 12 seed.
Right, but that's just right now. You know, we could be at week 4 and be like, you know, this is the best Alabama team before Saban, you know, that kind of thing. So,
or it could be like we was week 4 with Florida State and how we had them top 4, and then
they went through the crap.
Yeah, week 4.
Anyway,
week 4 they at least should be.
Yeah,
2-1 or undefeated by then.
Yeah, they're definitely going to handle UNLM. And the last year I thought was the best full game that Alabama played. At Wisconsin.
If they would have played like that all season, they probably would have won a national championship.
Well, if and buts for candy and nuts. So I'm not that I say this much, but I am excited for Alabama season just to see some of these key games and see how far season 2 is for DeBoer.
All right, now the elephants are out of the way.
There they go.
Now we're heading over to Arkansas to talk about some kids.
Run this one. I'm tired of talking.
Oh, Jesus.
Could you hit that button one more time?
It was on repeat. I didn't mean to.
I see.
Talking about Arkansas, we're talking about Sam Pittman leading the helm as the Arkansas head coach. Record as a head coach that is not right. 30-3.
Record at head coach at Arkansas.
Yeah, that's definitely not right.
Yeah, that's definitely. I pulled it up from this year's stats.
Did you not read what I sent you?
If it makes you feel, yeah, because I thought that. Excuse me, people. Technical difficulties.
Yeah, technical difficulties.
Mainly on my end. But I say that to say this. It happens. Oh, is that the
standby music? I'll just get this part out anyway.
No. I know you sent it to me. Oh, there it is.
Sam Pittman's record at Arkansas is 30-31.
Oh, well, it was just right under that.
No, that's not.
Dingus, read. It's 30-31. There's not a parenthesis there.
It looks like a parenthesis.
Okay, see that? See there? This is why I can't have nothing. You can't even read good.
Don't put it in cursive.
It's not. It's paint. It's permanent marker text.
49% winning percentage and a bowl record of 3-0. His record in Southeastern Conference is 11-29. 11-29. In his first year in 2020, the team went 3-7. That's a winner right there. The following year, 2021, he improved at 9-4, which got him to a bowl game of 4-4 in the SEC, earning a Liberty Bowl victory. And I don't say against two, but in 2022, his team finished 7-6, mediocre at best, 3-5 in the SEC with a bowl appearance. Doesn't say which bowl. 2023 went 4-8. That is not good enough to make a bowl. And in 2024 went again 7-6 and 3-5 in the SEC. Mediocre at best, Pittman. I'm sorry.
Oh, most definitely. But the turnaround again, like Florida, the turnaround at the end of the season, I think really kind of kept his job, or at least, at least where we stand of him being the 8th seed. I think this could be a pivotal season to see where his tenure is with them. Because I say that because I think this is probably one of the best coordinator coaches or coordinator staffs in the SEC.
Yeah, that includes Bobby Petrino, offensive coordinator, and Travis Williams at defensive coordinator. You know, I went to the Arkansas-Auburn game last year inside Auburn, and it was a game. And watching, so after the game was over, Auburn loses, of course. Watching Arkansas go back in the tunnel, because you know where we sit on the end zone, the visitors' end zone. Travis Williams, Auburn fans were even cheering for him as he was going into the tunnel, and he stood out and stand and waved.
2003 team? No,
I don't remember.
No,
but I know he played at Auburn. Auburn loved him. He took the moment in, but it's for
yes, and I hate a couple. Oh, most definitely, and I hate when he left because it was rumored that I think after the whole Gus deal that his name was kind of getting tossed around. And I hate it didn't come through, but I think he is a heck of a coordinator and possibly could be a really good head coach somewhere in the future.
I agree. So we'll see how this season starts out for Sam Pittman. I think I'm looking at the schedule real quick. I think if you go 2-3 in your first 5 games, he might get fired.
So do you think they will drop the hammer on him before the season's over if it's going so bad?
If there was a guy inside the SEC, I said it all last year. If there's a guy coach inside the SEC to get the hammer, he would be one of them during the season. I don't know if week 5 is early. It might be too early, maybe after the SEC, because that was only after one SEC game, and it would be at Ole Miss. So I mean, there is that. Yeah. But then that slate right after Memphis, which we'll let everybody show that later. But it don't get easier, and it's a hard schedule for an SEC coach. And then Sam Pittman, who's staying alive right at 49% winning percentage at 30-31.
Yeah, subpar. Like you said already, subpar at best. But like I said, if something happens, I think you've got 2 really good guys.
Bobby Petrino will surely take back over again.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Like I said, I'm not saying he's waiting in the wings to jump at that spot, but I'm just saying it could happen.
It could happen. So. Their key departures are running back Jaquindon Jackson. I always want to say Quinchon. Jaquindon Jackson, 709 yards on 149 carries and 15 touchdowns. The tight end, Luke Haas, you spelled it right again. Good job. 324 yards, led the team on 26 catches and 4 touchdowns, which also led the team. And then linebacker, edge guy, Landon Jackson, who's about 6'9", whatever. 49 tackles, 28 solos, 6.5 sacks, 3 pass breakups, 1 fumble, and 1 fumble recovery. I think right here, you're going to miss a great running back, but I want to say they have a guy that I think we're going to talk about later to fill that void, and only was a true freshman last year to fill that void from Jaquindon Jackson, who he played the injury bug a little bit last year. Tight end, you're losing Luke Haas. He is a tight end, but he played more of that Brock Bowers slot wide receiver type. And then Landon Jackson is a big man to fill in that defensive line.
Yes.
His athleticism, he looked very small, but his wingspan, his athleticism was going to get around to the ball.
Right. I won't say this is probably some of the biggest departures because I know Florida lost a lot, but these were all three super key guys into to the plan that they had last year, especially this Landon Jackson kid was. I mean, if the ball was there, he was close, and I don't know if they had anybody that can feel the stats like he can, so it's really going to hurt him on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and looking at who they got coming in, their key additions, which would be wide receiver Omega Blake, who we have talked about, played at Charlotte last year, I want to say, 795 yards on 32 catches with 9 touchdowns. Tavion Wallace, 185th nationally ranked player in the 2025 class. He is a linebacker. And then Caleb Wooden, who we have talked about, 17 tackles, 12 solos, 1 pass breakup, and 1 interception coming from Auburn at defensive back. Being with Travis Williams, so I want to say the biggest piece right here is going to be that Taylor Green to Omega Blake connection, which they have. They gained a lot of wide receivers in this class, but I feel like that's going to be the biggest one.
Yeah, where did they stand on transfer portal? I know we just done it, but I don't.
Well, I put it in the notes.
Again,
transfer portal 21st. Oh no, that's Alabama.
Is that nation?
Is that 16th in the nation. Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were talking about SEC. I said, oh, that ain't good.
It's only 16 teams. But Alabama finished 21st, so.
They did, so that. But the thing, too, here, that's really good. If you're recruiting in the SEC and can still have a top 20 class with everything going on, you're going to need these key pieces to keep your puzzle together. I mean, puzzle as in your season, so.
And they had the 32nd ranked class out of like 140 something teams. So I mean, it's not bad. I mean,
so no, it's passing. C's get degrees.
Yeah, but now we're going to look at some of their top players to watch out for this season. And like always, it's in that quarterback position. When Taylor Green, a redshirt senior, had a lot of miles on his boots last year. So want to see him come into form next year. But also that running back taking Jackson's spot and Braylon Russell, a true sophomore, could have a breakout season this year. And then linebacker Xavier Sorey Jr. is a redshirt senior. That is very confusing. Again, another breakout year that he had last year, just going to add to that draft stock coming on this year.
I like these guys. Like I said, I think a big one, like you said, is going to be that Taylor Green, Omega Blake connection there. Hopefully, that Green, can get it to him, beat them plays, and take some of the load off of Braylon Russell because a little injury prone, but I think these are really good players to keep an eye on for the Woo Pigs.
Definitely. Now we're going to get into their schedule, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I like this graphic. All right, so opening up again August 30th at home against Alabama A&M. September 6th, they go at home. Yeah, at home against Arkansas State. And then the big one, September 13th, their first road game is going to be at Ole Miss. Then they go down to Memphis. Yeah, then they go down to Memphis the next week, September 20th. September 27th, they play host to Notre Dame at 11 a.m. on ABC.
Oh.
And then October 11th at Tennessee. And then here's the big one. You start with Notre Dame. You're going at Tennessee. October 18th, you're keeping at home against Texas A&M. October 25th against Auburn at home. November 1st at home versus Mississippi State. And then November 15th, you're going to Death Valley.
Uh-oh.
November 22nd, you're going to Texas. And then November 29th, you're playing at home against Missouri. So.
Oh, crap.
Yeah.
They're going to have to be some very optimistic fans for Arkansas with this. So just looking at it, from my take, you have to win the first 2 games. You have to come out and you have to be dominant against these teams that you should beat. really tough road test going to the Grove and Ole Miss to play there.
Not a cakewalk in that
No.
fourth week matchup at Memphis. It's
Right.
not.
No, Memphis has been very underrated for the last couple of years. So I really think, like you said, in the first 5 games, then you're going to Notre Dame. Notre Dame played in the national championship last year. So your first 5 games is going to be your real temperature taker. And for me, like you said, you have to win at least 3 of them.
Yeah. It might be the easy 3, but you have to win 3.
Yeah, you have to win 3 to keep the fan base from uproaring and not turn it. Because like you said, after Notre Dame, it
don't get easier.
No, it's going to be some bacon.
It's going to be mid-average. Texas A&M, who I project being one of the best teams in the SEC.
Right.
Auburn, who I hope is good. Mississippi State, who could turn it around. LSU, again, top of the SEC. Texas,
right.
Top of the SEC. Missouri.
Oh, here
you
we
might
go
win Missouri.
Yeah,
but it's just. Ugh.
Yeah, they've got a tough schedule, especially for that we don't know super a lot about the team. Yeah, they had some success late last year to keep Pittman's job, but he's going to have a heck of a turnaround to keep it this year as well. With his tough teams as they have to play and have to win. And I think to do that, you're going to have to beat a Tennessee and Auburn and LSU or somebody like that to, I guess, keep your name out of the fire pot. Does that make sense?
I say 8. You have to win 8. You have to beat Alabama A&M. You have to beat Arkansas State. You have to beat Memphis. You have to beat Auburn. You have to beat Mississippi State. You have to beat Missouri.
And that's a lot of.
You have to beat Tennessee or Texas A&M or LSU.
You're gonna have to have. Yeah, you're gonna have to have some good wins to see this, or like we just said, Petrino or Williams or somebody is waiting because the fan base is not going to continue, as you said once or 2, 3 times, sub-average leadership in Pittman, which he's done over the last couple of years.
I mean, I'd be tired of finishing 7-6 every year and 3-5 in the SEC.
Hey, we're Auburn fans. We do that all the time.
No, we go worse than that. So, I'm looking for I'm going to say a down year for Alabama and hopefully a better year for Arkansas coming in, but could see Pittman fired about halfway. If there is a coach that could get fired in the SEC, he's my top 3 mid-season.
But didn't we jump up?
I said that last year. Shut up.
I know. I'm talking about with Napier as well. So
I'll say it again this year.
Right, and we'll jump to that ship when we get to Florida. When you say Alabama down year, yes, anytime an Alabama team loses 3 or 4 games in one season.
Anytime Alabama don't win 10 games a season is a down year.
Well, So I think Alabama, I mean, there are more questions in the SEC, but I think for me, like a hot topic, that this is going to be the biggest one to see if he can, do what they got him there to do with, a little bit of uncertainty as far as his player-wise, especially with Ty coming in or starting the game. So, like I said, it's crazy for me to say Alabama's going to be fun to watch.
Yep.
Now, as long as they don't get drilled too much, because I know Brittany will be fit to be tied. Oh, yeah, or I'll be having pillows in my ears. And again, flip over to Arkansas for my final. I just, like you said, I don't know at the end of the season if they'll have the same head coach that they started with.
Again, we said that last year, and we were wrong. But luckily, last year, all 16 coaches stayed the same, head coaches-wise. So, I ain't saying that for a while.
Their schedule does not favor them keeping their head coach that they got now this year. So,
no. But as we wrap everything up, we're going to get into our SEC logo showdown. which brought us game 7.
We got to be getting close to the first end of the first round.
Yeah, this was game 6.
Okay.
So 2 more.
2 more.
So this brought us game 6, was against the number 6 seed South Carolina Gamecocks and the number 11 seed Who Pig Sueys.
Woo pig, who pig, somebody's pig.
Somebody, not my pig.
No. Surprised you don't have pigs. Oh, I didn't put it in there.
Oh no, you suck again.
I could have swore I did.
Anywho, 1,500 votes, the winner is Arkansas. Appreciate you, all the Arkansas fans, for voting, taking the time. Even, like I said, I've seen them. They had questions. They just wondered what it was. I responded. Do the same thing. I'll do it again. I don't care. Over 20 shares. I had a couple of likes, but 20 shares, over 2,000 votes almost.
Yeah,
it was
tons
insane.
of views, more than, like I said, it was insane. And we want to try to continue to do that every week. So
okay. So this next matchup, which is game 7, which brings us 2 really good logos here. Talking about the number 7 seed Texas A&M Aggies. Absolutely love the ROTC style drill sergeant that they got going on there in the front. Very cool, iconic logo. I do like it. And then we're talking about Fighting Albert over there for Florida number 10.
So I got a military question real quick. What what branch of service does Texas A&M represent?
JROTC. ROTC.
Okay, so they're not. I mean,
they're not a military school. They're like who's the other one I'm thinking of? That's a ROTC school. There's another one I'm thinking of. I
did not know that.
Mm-hmm. They're not affiliated with anything. It's that's
kind of what I was getting at.
They're just a big cult, it looks like.
Oh, okay. But no, again, I do love that. I like that drill instructor. But no, the old style, that is one of my favorites there. But there's something about this Albert logo. The colors pop, and it's just he's fighting, he's ready to bite. So I know which one I like. But hopefully this is a little bit closer race.
Right.
We'll jump into some of the Florida groups and
well, it's weird because for the back-to-back week, Florida will be another pivotal point that we're talking about next week.
Oh yeah, it will be.
Auburn and Florida.
Well, at least I know something about one of them. So that's our mainly part of our show, guys. Again, get out there and vote. Do your thing as well as y'all did last week. Super, super gracious to have great fans like you that get involved. A side note here, guys, if you're looking for custom edits for any artwork, any team, any player, find me Facebook. What's the other stuff I'm on? Instagram and stuff like that. I haven't grown the pages as much, but I would love to take care of you. Get you something cool so you can hang in your house, your locker, or in your mama's car.
Wild Country Homestead is our little homestead that we have going on. We have quail, we have chicken, we have rabbits coming soon. We have homemade bread, we have sourdough loaves, we have yeast rolls, we have everything you want. Just check us out on Facebook, Wild Country Homestead.
Fine business too. Again, guys, thank you for joining the Under Review podcast. Spotify, YouTube, wherever Facebook, wherever you get your whatchamacallits. Sponsorship plans are out there, guys, with the season coming up. Find what deal's right for you and how you want to sponsor us and how we can help grow your business. We're on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Spotify. Please get in touch with us and we can get you took care of like we do anybody else. So we're going to wrap this up again. Thanks to all our guys, Hunter, Nick, Hayden, Brandon, Jud, Cody, not Tia, Jeremy and his roofing, Tactical Pest. Hopefully we can get them out, get them to do something for you. Chuck's Heating and Air. But at the end, especially for this episode, Men's Health Awareness Month, be the friend you want somebody to be for you. Again, thank God, thank everybody. and we will see you next time.
See you on the flip side.
Thanks for making the call to go under review. Join us next time as we go to the monitors. Until then, keep your flag handy.